Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Grassroots Chats. Welcome to what might be very soon the last few weekends of us giving you a wonderful, wonderful expertise on the wonderful game. I love that word too much. With me is Neil and, of course, Dunk. How you guys doing? Everybody looking good. Neil's not wearing his glasses. Let's hope you can see. If you like what you hear, what we do, please follow us on YouTube, on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And of course, you can watch all episodes on our website, www.grassrootschats.com. So today we are starting with two wonderful topics in Man City. And of course, we're looking at the FA Cup final. And we're going to have a look at the relegation battle as well. So let's start with Man City. Now, the question you might ask is, what about Man City? Well, it looks like they're going to leave it till late to win the title, unless things happen in Southampton. So looking at today's game, I was happy, man. I saw the scores when I was helping my neighbor move stuff. And I saw West Ham 2-0 up. I was happy, forgetting that between Man City and Liverpool, I don't even know who I want to win the league because I hate both teams. But what do you think was the issue? Why did they start so slow, Dunk?
I don't know. I guess they're only human. They can't be dominating every game entirely from the first minute to the last minute.
You did say they would. I remember you saying they would dominate till the end of the season.
Were those my exact words? They dominate every minute and every second of every game. I don't remember saying that, but we'll roll with it.
We'll find the reel somewhere.
You won't find it. Yeah. So I don't know. You could say maybe there's a bit of nerves there because they're closing in on the title. Could be an element of that. It's a situation they should have been in before though, so they should be able to handle that. But again, it's like football. They're not going to dominate and win every game handily, even though they're the better team. Like you'd expect them to, but some games are going to go like this. So I mean, fair play to West Ham. They took their chances really well in the first half and really put them under pressure. So, and again, fair play to Man City for coming back. And if they'd have put that penalty away, we wouldn't be even discussing the slow start because it wouldn't even matter.
If buts or maybes, the best thing about the City game or the West Ham game, anyhow you want to look at it, is regardless of how City, they were down first half, they didn't play really well, but they still stuck to the same process of passing the ball here and there, didn't panic, same system. And as you said, they would have won the game enough for the penalty save. Do you think, we've always mentioned how Pep is a magician, change strategy. Do you think he would have been able to do anything earlier on in the game, Neil, than wait for it to go that late?
I don't know. It was a tough one. It was uncharacteristically City-like in the first half, right? They were poor. They looked slow. They reminded me of when I was at school and I'd done PE and then I tried to run the next 2 days later and I was still tired and my legs were aching. They looked tired and jaded. I don't think there was up. I'm not saying that they weren't up for it in the first half. They weren't up for it as much as West Ham were in the first half. And I think West Ham probably shocked themselves of how much into the game that they were by halftime. It was kind of one of those really weird, surreal situations where we were all like, this isn't supposed to be happening. You know, Man City was supposed to be comfortably winning that game, title done and dusted. Yeah, it turned out that they weren't. So I think Pep probably was right to wait, get them in, regroup, have a conversation about what was going on. Then they obviously had the worst penalty in the world ever. It was just a really lackluster, effortless penalty.
It was a good save, though.
No disrespect to Fabianski.
Worse than Jorginho's penalty.
Good strong hand, right?
Going for worse than that, are you?
It was horrendous. The things with Jorginho, right? He doesn't ever put the ball hard. He literally tries to place it, doesn't he, and put it wherever he wants to. With that
he was working well until he didn't.
Right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And they look amazing when they go in. But when you just go up and side foot the ball, neither hard nor soft, and it's just perfect. It's just a really poor penalty. But I think that was Man City's downfall the whole game. They were slow. They didn't look like they were ever going to really win it. And I think at the end, Mahrez looked like he was 20% fit. I don't know what was going on. I watched the whole game. He was just jogging around, man, Pogba-esque.
Leave Pogba out of this. Could we try to leave him out of one episode? I mean, Mahrez
did even played this weekend. They've been mentioned.
Nope. I don't even know. I don't know if he was 20% fit, but he seemed to be very key in the game, though. Pep kept giving him instructions and making sure that he kept, getting handle on the game, and there was a lot of outlet towards him. The question here now is, at the beginning of the season, everybody was talking about, the possibility of winning the league without a striker. That could possibly still happen. One more game. And who knows, Southampton might do them a favor on Tuesday. But City have run out to go and get Erling Haaland. Dunk, when that transfer was done, you put a message in the group saying they're trying to buy the Champions League. But do you think, obviously, we know who Haaland is and the amount of goals he has been scoring since he has been at Dortmund. Do you think this will just pretty much seal? They are really looking to start sealing next season. What do you think that is going to do for the rest of the league? Is he going to improve Man City badly, or is there a possibility that he might actually need time to gel?
They're getting a world-class striker. Like that's ominous for the other teams in the league. I can't see anything but him improving City and that team. Like, with all their chances they're able to create and the creativity they've got in their team with the players in the midfield and out wide, you can see Haaland just doing bits in the Premier League next season. I mean, we'll see how he gets on, but I don't think he's going to need time to adjust. Obviously, the real story is that he's just using City as a stepping stone until he can get to his proper team, which is Leeds. Because that's who his dad played for. He's a proper Leeds man. So if they maybe they'll avoid relegation, get a bit more up in status, and he'll just go there afterwards on a free.
It was the last minute equalizer in the Leeds game versus Brighton, so that will possibly keep things alive. You never know. Everything is going down to the wire for the last day. But, I mean, going back to Haaland and his stepping stone status using City, Neil, how do you see the City team looking next season? Because there is the talk that Jesus will probably leave. Grealish looks like he's going to need another season to get into it. But what do you see Haaland bringing to City?
Goals. First of all, City have a striker. He's called Jesus, right? Let's not think that he wasn't bought as a striker. He was bought as their talisman when he came in. But Aguero never lost his place, even under Pep. Even lazy Aguero. I know he's streaming on Switch like we are now, but lazy Aguero that is out there that Pep didn't like, as him always looking to replace him, was still his number one. So Pep likes a striker that scores goals.
Why do people actually think that Pep didn't like Aguero?
Because
there's that rumor going around that he didn't really like him. He was trying to get rid of him. Jesus was supposed to be the man, but
Jesus isn't the type of striker that he wanted to work with. I don't think he was as energetic, and also Jesus was probably in his not he was old at all, but he was definitely in his later years. So trying to get him to retrain and play that way is going to be harder work. Haaland is going to have a culture shock for two reasons. One, he's going to be living up north in the UK, which is going to be massively different to Germany, regardless, right? So that's one thing. Second of all, he's going to be hounded by the press like he's never been hounded by the press before, because he's signing for the biggest team, arguably, in the UK. They are not, but they're arguably one of the biggest teams. And then, obviously, he's playing Premier League football, which is going to be different to what he's used to. He's going to be up against defenders that can defend and people that actually have a level of fitness.
Are you saying they can't defend in Germany?
No, I'm not saying they can't defend in Germany. I'm saying that they just defend better in the Prem. And they've got better... So you've got more competitive teams, right? Anyone can beat anyone on a day. Look at West Ham today against Man City. Like, no one saw that coming, but that doesn't really happen very often in the Bundesliga. Fortunately, he's not playing for Munich, which... usually that would be the natural progression. So he's going there. So I think it's going to be exciting. He's going to take maybe a little bit of time to get used to playing for Pep and what's expected of him. So let's not think that he's going to come in and be the miracle. That would be ideal, right? But he is going to have to work his socks off, understand what's expected of him through the whole game. I think that Henry had an interview once when he played for Pep and the Barca, right? When he left, he scored just before half time. and he wasn't touching the ball much, and he got taken off just after scoring. And he got taken off after scoring because he didn't play where he wanted him to play, right?
Yes. He switched position, so Pep wasn't happy. So he said, it's funny though, because even with the Grealish situation, people think Pep hasn't really found a way of, or doesn't understand how to use Jack Grealish. I remember Paul Merson saying that he has spent his entire career, being told to take on players, try and beat the first man. With City having to move the ball really quickly, it's been hard for him to adapt. Dunks, do you think that Pep will be able to get through to Haaland with immediate effect? Because City don't particularly play through a striker. At least I don't think they have since under Pep. So with Haaland coming in, and he clearly can, it seems like he can just play one position, top man. Do you think, as Neil says, it might take him longer than expected? Or not longer than expected, but it might take him time?
No, I'm going to disagree with that man there.
Let's move on then.
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree. Like, he's like world class. He's a top striker. We've seen him do it at international level and at Borussia Dortmund. Like, Borussia Dortmund are a decent team, but the level of service he's going to get at City, I don't think it's going to take him long to be scoring multiple goals.
So will a preseason be enough? Preseason enough to gel with the team? This is just their first buy. They might get somebody in. I don't know who else they will need at this point, but I think this is just their first buy, and it's done even way before the transfer window has opened. So you're right in terms of supply, but sometimes it still takes players longer, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to take him long. I think he'll fit in just fine because, like I said, they've got so many creative players. The ball's going to be coming in from all sorts of angles. Like I guess you can say like about other positions. If he was a midfielder or maybe out wide, he might have a transition period fitting in. But a striker's a striker. He's just going to play, like you said, up top in the middle, and they're going to provide him with service. So I can't see it taking long for him to be scoring goals.
So let's still one more game for City. As I said, depending on the result that happens at St. Mary's, anything could happen. If City does win the league, which is looking like, they're playing Aston Villa on the last day at home. So anything could happen. Stevie Gerrard might be fired up to try and help his old team bring City down. But if we're looking beyond, do you think this actually seals the Premier League for them next season? Because if they could win the season without a striker, and now they've gotten arguably one of the best strikers in the world, do you think they will leave a distance between themselves and other teams? No?
I mean, he is one of the best strikers in the world at the moment, where he's at. So hopefully he'll come in, and for Pep's point of view, he'll come in and set the ground running. He's built like an English forward, if that makes sense. He's built like he would play well. He's not like a lightweight. He's muscle quick. He's got a good physical attributes to him. He's got good first touch. He's got pace for days. So they're all key attributes that he's going to do well in the Prem. I still think City are going to do a big clear out this summer. And I think that will be key to who they get in. And
for example, who do you think they're going to? So, let's start. Actually, I was going to try and do position for position, but go ahead. Who do you think they're going to get rid of?
I think what they need to get rid of is probably a couple of wingers and just maybe getting some fresh blood. I think Grealish has had an all right season, contrary to popular belief. He's playing in a very different position. He doesn't score enough goals, which I think is probably his biggest issue. Like Wes Sterling scored more goals when he came in. Grealish hasn't done that yet. But I'm thinking that they're playing slightly different to they did last season as well, in a different way. Because if you look, none of the wingers are scoring anywhere near as many goals as they were scoring before, even with the talisman in the centre of the park in between them. So I think they'll probably get rid of Sterling. I think Mahrez will probably go as well. I think they're looking to get into two more wingers or attacking forwards or inside forwards, wing for I don't know whatever you call them these days. But I think he'll look to get in two more of those in order to create more opportunities with a bit more pace and more emphasis on maybe their pressing qualities, which is what I think they're probably missing the most out of their front line at the moment. The pressing is probably slightly worse than it was maybe a couple of seasons ago. When they had Sane, for instance, he went, and I think Sterling probably presses more, but I think he's not so happy with Sterling as he was before. So I think he'll keep Grealish, and I think he'll get rid of Sterling and Mahrez and potentially get 2 more in, which I think would be good for them. Fresh blood's always good, right?
It's always good. He doesn't hold back in terms of changing his teams. He likes to. I remember watching an interview with him and Rio Ferdinand, and he was saying you always have to change. Mahrez, I'll be shocked if Mahrez also go next season. I think Mahrez might stay. In terms, there are already rumors about Jesus going to Arsenal, which is strange because Arsenal are actually buying him as a striker, whereas City haven't particularly used him as a striker this season. Dunk, do you think if Jesus goes to Arsenal, it will be a good move for him? It will clearly be a good move for Arsenal, but will it be good for Jesus? And do you think he'll be prolific in the Arsenal shirt?
Oh, well, we've all seen what happened to Lacazette. I don't know if he's going to be prolific. He'd be getting nicknames that involve no goals being scored. I mean, you can kind of see like why he's going if they're bringing in Haaland. Like he doesn't get used as much as possibly he'd want. Like
he has been playing for the last few games, though. Yeah. He has been on form.
Yeah,
I think is a change Pep decided to make, but clearly the rumor is that he is going to Arsenal.
Yeah. Like that's only been the last few games, and obviously a lot's been made about the no striker thing. He's been there all season. Pep could have used him more earlier in the season, but chose not to. So he hasn't been used as much as he'd probably want. Haaland's coming in. Like Haaland's going to be a nailed on starter when you're spending 50 million, and that's probably cheap market value for someone like Haaland as well.
Well, you might say 50 million is a nail-on starter, but you have a 100 million player that wasn't really getting into the team. Yeah, Grealish. So with Pep, Pep is
like
crazy.
I just said, they're like 50 million is cheap. That's a release clause, isn't it? So I mean, full market value for Haaland would be way above 50 million. So yeah, like it'll probably be good for him, like going to Arsenal. Again, he'll have to adapt to the system. Hard to say if he will go into the Arsenal team and start banging in goals left, right, and centre. I mean, whenever he's had chances at City, he's been a fairly regular goal scorer. And we know the way Arteta's, copying Pep there. So you just slot straight into the system, won't he? You just carry on and just keep him banging on goals.
I 100% agree with that. I was talking to Charlotte earlier. Like he's a pre-made Arsenal player. He's going to come across. He knows what's expected, and Arteta's not following a new blueprint. He's following obviously the Pep blueprint, right? But he's moving in and coming straight in.
You say that, but one of the things you guys talk about the most with City is the supply. There's a lot of supply compared to the amount of supply he will probably get at Arsenal. So yes, he will slot into the system, but will he score as many goals? Because the supply would definitely go down from the looks of things. So is it a win-win?
This season he's got 8 goals and 9 assists in 27 appearances. So he's not exactly scoring massive amount of goals. He's assisting as many as he's scoring. So the problem with Starts is
the problem with Starts is that he's probably coming 10 minutes before the end of some game, and of course that counts as an appearance. But the games that he's actually started up front, which is last few games, he has scored the 8 goals that you mentioned. But with Arsenal, so if there will be no point buying him and putting him on the wing, though, what will be the point in that if you need a striker?
Well, quite a lot, because they're not going to just by. I know we're not going to derail the show, but I'm just talking about Arsenal's transfers. But they need 3 new players at the top at least. They need a left, a right, and a forward. They need competition for spaces, right? They haven't got any. So if I was them, I'd be looking at either getting him in, playing him out wide, and rotating the 3 at the it just makes no sense to keep what
this is why Neil's not a manager. This is why Neil's not a manager.
Well, I'll ask you this though. I'll ask you this last question. If Arsenal don't get the 4th spot, do you think Jesus will go there? Neil?
Yeah. I think he's going to go either way. Okay. I'm Champions League football's fine, but I'm not sure how many other Champions League clubs are going to be currently interested in him in the nicest possible way. I don't think he's on any other English club radar for that. Would he fit in at Spurs? I don't know. I don't see him fitting in at Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool aren't signing him. So either that or he goes to play abroad, depending on really where he wants to play, right? He has that much about him that he could kind of choose, at least of a few clubs of where he wants to play.
Okay. And Dunk, I'll ask you this about Man City. So they've had a strikerless season. They've gone for Haaland. The rumor is that Jesus is going to go to Arsenal. Do you think they should buy another striker, a backup striker? Because if Jesus leaves and Haaland gets injured, they're back to having a strikerless season. So do you think they should buy another well-known striker, or at least somebody that'll be able to, play the covering role?
I don't know who's going to want that role though. That's the role Jesus has had for like the last few seasons. So I mean, when you say like a well-known striker, is a well-known striker going to want to come in and just be a cover? You'd be kind of like harking back to the days of people doing the moves when City and Chelsea and those kind of teams first started getting their money, and they were kind of bench warmers because they weren't starters. I don't think anyone's going to want that role. Ideally, they should be looking at youth, because I don't think Pep's looked at youth enough. Obviously, you got Foden, but there's not been a lot more going on. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is Delap? Is he the striker, the youth player at City?
He comes in from the wing. Yeah, is he a striker? He comes in from the wing. I think the left-footed boy.
I think he's a striker.
Yeah, he's a striker.
Yeah. So I think they should definitely be looking at someone like that. That's the perfect opportunity. You got Haaland there. You can bring someone through, and they're obviously at their stage of their career, they'll be willing to play that bit part and be, chomping at the bit to get on the pitch and fill in some minutes wherever it may be.
So was today just a hiccup in the run for the title? Do you still see City winning the title, Neil? Or do you think they're going to be some dramatic ending to the season?
I still see them winning it. I hope they win it. That might be just foresight of me hoping that they limp over the line, as it looks like they're going to do, rather than cruise over the line. It was just poor today. Poor day at the office. Better to have it now. Get it out of the way, right, for the last game, so they can run home. But that said, we're hoping that Liverpool will be hoping that they win their next game as well. And at the moment, they must have their eyes on. They're going to be tired after the FA Cup. They've got one eye, obviously, on the Champions League. So are they going to fill their full strength team up? I don't know.
We shall see. And Dunk, City, are you still going for Liverpool for the title? Twists and turns.
I think there'll be twists and turns. Again, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Man City smash Wolves and then they struggle against West Ham. So which Man City is going to turn up? More often than not, it's been the side that smash people. But I think there'll be some twists and turns. Probably a bit of late drama. I'll say City will probably nick it on going into the last 15 minutes or so.
All right, we shall see. We shall be here to watch the twists and turns, if there are any, and we'll see what happens towards the end of the season. Man City, leaving it or trying to go the difficult way, where they should have sealed it with a nice penalty, but we shall see. Moving on to Chelsea-Liverpool, FA Cup final, another game that I was hoping that Chelsea would win. And it's a good thing I didn't bet, because everything I would have done this weekend would have just gone to chaos. Yes, but Liverpool comes out again, beats Chelsea on penalties and winning the FA Cup. So the fight or the dream of the quadruple is still alive, and it is possible that it can happen. But now the question here is simple. Was it just a case that Chelsea were unlucky, Neil? Second final they had been in this season, and they lost it again on penalties. And I think, if I'm correct, that's their third straight FA Cup final loss. Third straight or second straight? One of them.
They were unlucky. They were tired, man. They looked tired. That game wasn't a good quality game of football by a long stretch.
Tired? What have they been playing that they're looking tired?
Tiddlywinks? I don't know. They looked leggy. They did look tired. I even saw Kante running in slow motion at one point. The whole game wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, which was a bit of a shame. I mean, the extra time was a killer for everybody, both teams and fans. Just penalties was going to be needed instantly. Chelsea weren't good enough to win. That was simple as that. They got beat by a team without Salah after 20 minutes. Didn't he? 27 minutes. He went off of his head injury, I think. Then at the back, Van Dijk came off after. I'm not sure how many chances Klopp wanted to give them. Like Like if you had said to the, well, Van Dijk won't play all of the game and Salah's not going to be in, man, you'd be rubbing your hands, wouldn't you, at that particular point? And then the game, and then they're playing.
You would think you'd be at least happy, though.
Yeah. And they take Lukaku off. Lukaku doesn't look match fit, and he hasn't done all season. So, which is another issue for Chelsea to have. But I think the problem is when they take him off, they don't look like scoring goals at the moment. And there's just this fundamental issue with Chelsea up top of where they don't really know what's going on. They don't know where anyone's meant to be, what anyone's supposed to be doing. And it all just seems a little bit, let's just get to the end of the season, regroup, and then we'll sort it out. That was for me the Chelsea mantra. And I don't think they even deserve to win as much as I wanted them to.
In terms of regroup, I asked you this about Wolves a couple of weeks ago, Doc, where there's a possibility that players just go, it's done, season is over, let's just go. But you would think that Chelsea would want to win. You lost the final to Liverpool in the League Cup final. You have certain players that will leave Chelsea, so you would think, okay, let me win a title before I go, Rudiger and everybody else. And as Neil has mentioned, two of their best players actually go off the pitch, giving you the best chance to win. With Chelsea, has it been a mentality thing with everything that's happened, the way the season has gone, the situation with Roman as the owner, and what exactly just went? How do you go from that grit to just going, I just want to go on a holiday?
You know the way you give me grief for talking about new manager bounce? I'll give you grief for talking about players not trying. Always question about players not trying. It's the FA Cup final.
You know me, player accountability is key. Key for me.
They would have been trying their arse off, but don't forget they're playing Liverpool. Liverpool are a tough team to play against, difficult to beat. In the mix for everything, Champions League, the league title. So you're not going to beat them easily, are you? So. But yeah, it has gone fairly spectacularly wrong this season for Chelsea somewhere down the line. I guess we were talking about earlier in the season where they lost a couple of fullbacks to injuries that were key. So they had a bad run, and then ever since then they've just been in that kind of inconsistent phase where we've been lumping loads of teams in. Man U, Arsenal have had their little blips, and Spurs, etc. So yeah, the ownership thing is kind of a ready-made excuse. Again, we don't really know all the ins and outs of it, but it does kind of seem that way, that they're looking ahead towards the next season. So just that game, like I said, it would have been tough to win if they would have been playing a lesser opponent. Then they'd have probably pulled it off. But yeah, they're in that inconsistent phase. Like I said, you got the ready-made excuse of what's happening with the owners? It's effectiveness on the pitch. Maybe it is, but their season's really tailed off.
Possibility of new owners coming in soon. That should be done and dusted soon, as they say. Do you still think Tuchel will stay or leave, Neil? You mentioned that you'd be surprised to see him stay next season. He's had some personal problems off the pitch. Maybe that's affected his control or whatever, however you want to do. But you can also look that they were in 2 cup finals and they were beaten by the miraculous Real Madrid in the Champions League. So do you think he has done enough to stay? At least if the new owners come in, they'll be like, okay, fine, clean slate, let's start.
No, he's not done enough to stay. Not by current Chelsea regime standards. He just hasn't performed. This season's been poor. They sacked managers for way less, right? So losing 2 cup finals, I mean, you can say he got to the cup final, but we ain't giving out trophies for coming second, right? What's the point? You might as well go out the first round.
Medals. They do
but no trophy. Yeah. I said trophy, right?
Okay,
you get your participation medal, which no player really wants. I think Mourinho threw his away at one point, right? Which is a little.
I mean, he even threw away his winner's medal. So
yeah,
that just tells you something.
I don't think he's done enough. I'd like to say that no one should really lose their job because it's not nice. If he's saying personal problems affecting his ability to manage, then he himself should walk away or have some time off, whatever they are. That's just common sense, right? You can't try and play through that at the detriment to everybody else in that particular team. It's a team sport, and that comes down from the management all the way through. They're losing Rudiger. Now, I get the club being taken over might take a few people's eye off the ball, but we can't blame Rudiger going on that because that contract wasn't suddenly up. Oh, we're getting taken over. Oh God, his contract's up. Oh yeah, and they knew that before, right? That should have been done and dusted before he's had this standout season that he's had there. So that's poor by Chelsea because they've got no replacement for him. That said, there's a good crop of players at Chelsea, apart from Mount's penalty taking. There's a good crop of players there, isn't there, that I think are quite exciting. You've got James, you've got Chilwell, you've got Kepa Aspelag, whatever his name is, the keeper. I rate him, and I think he should come back into the team. I'm all for Kepa to come back and have his row.
What is with you, first of all, with people's names? Number two, I don't understand why you think Kepa. I don't understand why you think Kepa is better than Mendy. And you said they have a good crop of players.
They've both lost a penalty shootout now, haven't they? So they can't claim either one's better.
But the question I want to ask is, you said they have a good crop of players.
Yeah.
The strikers, there's something wrong there because they have Havertz, they have
but they've
Timo
got a Southampton
Werner,
player, haven't they? They've got Borja.
Yeah, but Borja is not...
we were talking about players on a better level, right? Imagine him playing with players that could pass.
Would he be given a chance, though? I mean, because if he's looked at as that good...
We've already decided that it wasn't good enough, didn't we, Doug?
You're not fit to be in charge of anyone, though.
You never know. But if you're looking at it up front, okay, yes, you could say they have Lukaku. If Broja comes back, they have Timo Werner, they have Havertz. We all know they have a truckload of midfielders, but their defense... Thiago Silva surely will play maybe one more season. Tony Rudiger is going. In the middle, they have Christensen that seems to have lost his confidence. Reece James is really good. And left back, Chilwell got injured. Alonso, I think, is really good. I think Alonso can even play midfield, but they surely need to replace the back line. They need at least 2 centre backs to come back.
Yeah, but who in the Premier League doesn't? I mean, we go on about like how
Liverpool.
Well, I'm just about to say that Van Dijk was out the other day and Chelsea still couldn't score. So that just shows that the level of defending. I think the level of defending in the Premier is a lot poorer. I'm not saying that players are worse because they're definitely more capable of playing. But at the moment, I think as the way that all back 4s or 3s or 5s are set up, they're set up in very susceptible formations. A 4-4-2, the old style, was very hard to break down. It was compacted, it was tight, and you also didn't. If the fullbacks overlapped, then the midfielders would drop back, right? But you would never push them both up at the same time. Phil and Gary Neville wouldn't be bombing 90 yards up the pitch when Man United were doing bits, would they? He'd get back up and then come. That doesn't happen. So I'm not sure whether we need centre backs of the ilk of as the good quality of Rio Ferdinand and Maldini's and Tony Adams, that good quality. I'm not sure if it's necessarily needed. You've got Thiago Silva, who's signed another contract for another year. He's 37. He's just a smidge younger than me, right? And he's your main man in the centre of the park. But he's still playing well. You don't think of him as a 37-year-old who's performing poorly. So you take his age out from it, right?
He's just an exception, though.
I think this shows that the way that we look at defenders now, it's just a different way of defending to how it used to be. We have to get past of what they are. So everybody in the Prem, as far as I'm concerned, would be looking for 2 quality centre backs. And actually, most leagues, I don't think there's many that you haven't got the players like Chiellini, right? Imagine if he ever went to the Prem. That'd have been amazing, right?
You probably have to find some talent that nobody else knows about.
Smaldini.
Or you
bring him back, right?
Or you could even go to some other teams and get centre backs and improve them, better squad. But I think they need, like you mentioned about Man City needing a clear out. I think they need a clear out. Dunk, I'll ask you this.
Oh, can I ask Dunk a question before you ask him one? Because I want to ask him. I want to find out his opinion.
Popular guy. Go on.
But he's really popular. I'm just looking at you. There's just love in the eyes. Chelsea's front line. Would you keep them all, or would you just get rid? You can only have one choice: either keep or get rid.
Yeah. So just quickly to expand on that, because you were mentioning it earlier about Lukaku, and we were talking about Haaland at Man City. when you look at Chelsea, like they have to totally change their system every time they switch it up. Like they've got totally different forwards. You got Lukaku, the big forward target man. You got Havertz, who's more of like a centre forward, and then you got Werner, who's like the pacey striker. Out of those, oh Jesus, what would you do? Like Lukaku's a proven goal scorer. Like I don't know if he's had problems. He obviously has had problems like getting him to gel into him work, and it's looked like really bad this season. But it's almost like the Maguire situation. Only you could probably like sell Lukaku quite easily. It's a huge signing on huge wages, but someone will take Lukaku. I don't know. Probably. Like that's hard to say who you would get rid of there. Like Werner, if he was given a chance, I'd say would be quality. He's got the pace, and we saw him like delivering a bit in the Prem when he got some chances. I'd say if I had to punt for something, I'd get rid of Lukaku, and I would have Werner with Havertz in behind him. Would be my shout for that.
You get rid of Lukaku?
Yeah, it's fantasy, right? See, I'm wondering whether Chelsea's biggest issue that they've had this season is trying to play other formations that aren't their strong point or aren't Tuchel's strong point. Because you've got Lukaku, you've got Werner, you've got Havertz, right? You want to either play them all or not play them all. But if you're going to play them, I don't think there's any reason why you can't play them all together. You go narrow, right? You play really narrow. But I don't think that's a problem when you've got proven goal scorers like that in the team.
You see,
and then at the moment, trying to put anyone out wide doesn't work. Sorry, JJ.
I agree with you in the sense that you can possibly play all of them because Steven Gerrard plays 4 attacking players with Watkins, Ings, what's his name, Coutinho, and Bernardia. I never seem to be able to pronounce his name. So it is possible. But
and you can't pronounce names now.
Just
people
one.
in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Just one.
Are you talking about Buendia? That's an easy name. Buendia.
Yes, Buendia.
Is that what he was trying to say?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. So he plays 4 attacking players. So you would think with the resources and capacity that these guys have with Chelsea, he should be able to do that. But you're right, in the sense from what I've seen, I think Tuchel has started doing, switching and changing here and there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens next season. If they do have a clear out, let somebody buy them first and tell them how much he's willing to spend. And then it might be a new look Chelsea.
So if Tuchel goes, who do they get?
By the way, I'm keeping Tuchel. Like exactly what Neil just said. You're there. Like the world of like managers at the top level, there's obviously not enough to go around, or you take a punt on someone. I think they should be keeping Tuchel for next season. Like who you're going to get? They're going to have to do a rebuild, or like again. I think the problem Tuchel's had is coming in and like working with what he's got. Although he did bring in Lukaku, but yeah, I think they should keep him because yeah, exactly. Who'd you get? And I don't know who the answer to that question is, to be honest.
He goes, they get Pochettino, the half of Tottenham will just die crying, and then Pochettino wins the league with Chelsea, and that will be it. Daniel Levy will just feel, oh, this is all my fault. But we shall see what happens to Chelsea in the future. I think it's been a bad season.
Scott Parker, too early?
Hands off.
Way too early.
He's done well though, wherever he's been at. And he plays some good football as well, right?
I was actually surprised he left Fulham for Bournemouth, but clearly it has worked. He has brought them up automatically.
Bigger club, isn't it? Easy decision.
Yeah, but
it's fun to see, right?
At some point, we'll talk about how we feel he would do in the Premier League. Hopefully, he'll be able to keep them up, which is the true test. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Chelsea, not particularly having a good season. Mixed feelings in terms of what should happen. Now we go to one of our favorite topics in the Premier League because it looks like there's a lot of party happening. Burnley, Everton, and Leeds. Who will join the other two to go down? It was looking like Everton was going to stay up with the win until the red card. Leeds looked like they were out and nothing was going to happen to the last-minute equalizer. And Burnley lost to Tottenham by a penalty, and they were unlucky because they hit the post at the end. So we'll start with Tottenham Burnley. And Tottenham didn't particularly play well. but they look like they did enough to put pressure on Arsenal. And we'll see what happens between Arsenal and Newcastle. But from the outcomes of the games, Everton still have a game in hand, so there's a possibility they could win that and get out of the fight. But between Burnley and Leeds, let's start with you, Dunk, your beloved Leeds. Did you think it was over and out until that equaliser today?
Yeah, totally. Like that's, if you look at the fixtures they had left, they just had Chelsea and Arsenal, like home to Brighton. I know Brighton are playing well, but you've got to get something out of that game if you want to stay in the league. So they got the point, but I don't know if that's enough. Like without beating around the bush, like Leeds and Burnley are both bad. They're poor. Like they're not picking up much. They've had the little spurts, the few little wins in concentration, but like over the course of things, they're both poor. They're both not really picking up many points. I never like it. Like Leeds now, they're a point ahead. I never like it when like you're relying on other teams. Like everyone's saying now, oh, if Burnley get nothing, then Leeds will stay up. Like that's not a good situation to be in, and relying on other teams. Leeds have got Brentford now. Again, another mid-table team that's on form, so that's going to be tricky. That's away as well. Burnley have got Villa. Villa did Burnley at Turf Moor. They beat them 3-1. So as a Leeds fan, I'd be hoping they can repeat that performance. And then Burnley are home to Newcastle. So I don't know. I think Burnley are going to get at least a point somewhere, which means Leeds have to get something out of their last game. Can they do that? I don't know. Like if they can, maybe they can avoid a red card again, you know, or maybe they want to get really smash that record of 100+ yellows and reds.
Well, I mean, looking at the Everton game today, everything started well. Then they had the red card, and they even still went up 2-1. And Brentford just Ericsson, man, that's class. But Brentford won the game 3-2, putting Everton or making it even difficult for them. I know how Dunkel loves Lampard and how Neil loves Lampard even more. Do you think Everton will stay up? I mean, it's literally in their hands. All they need to do is win 3 points and they're good to go. But do you think they'll stay up, Neil, or once again to be twists and turns last day of the season?
They were desperately unlucky today. I don't want to take anything away from Brentford because they were good, but 9 men in the end. Rondon, when he got sent off, he just knew that he ballsed up, right? He went in like he was sitting down and then went, sorry. He didn't. Do you know what? And I think a round of applause for Rondon should be had because he didn't argue. And I haven't seen a player go off with a red card and didn't argue in such a long time. He didn't even try and protest it. He was just like, actually, you know what? I've made a mistake. And it was a mistake, and he owned it, and he went off. So massive respect for Rondon. Unfortunately, a big error. But they were already struggling. The initial red card was harsh. I mean, not that it wasn't a red. It was just a harsh situation to be in. The ball over the top. Richarlison, I think it was a foul the other end, but because of where it was, you're never going to get it. And then suddenly you're chasing the game. And they were up. There are periods in the game where they looked decent. Lampard has turned that team around. Regardless if they go down, they've actually got a fighting spirit and they've actually got something about them now. And that was not there when he was there. That club was on its Rondon's bottom when he took over, right? They were literally just sitting there sobbing away of what was going on. But he's given the fans belief, right? And that's key. He's getting everyone turning out regardless of what he's saying. He has turned and galvanized the club into something that potentially could stay up. And they look like they'd be going down and losing incredibly bad. So kudos to him for that. He still hasn't got Calvert-Lewin scoring now. Dele Alli's still not playing, obviously. Beckoning for the championship next season.
Iwobi's looking good though.
Oh, I've always said it, man. Iwobi's world-class centre midfielder, right? Always said it.
Iwobi's looking good, really good. Lampard has improved him.
But that's a really good thing for Iwobi's point of view, right? He's come out of where he was playing wide forward, inside forward for such a long period of time. That wasn't working out. Like Newcastle bringing Joe Linton back into the centre of the park. It's a stroke of genius to get the most out of him because he does try hard. And he's put an effort in. And regardless of what your team win, lose, or draw, if you've got players putting their effort in, and they look like they're putting an effort in, that's what you can ask for. And if they're not good enough, you can worry about it afterwards. But you want the passion, right?
Like I think Everton are going to stay up because, like I said, Leeds and Burnley are so poor. Like there's no way Leeds and Burnley are both going to get a win like in their last couple of games. So I think Everton are safe.
You say there's no way, but you never know with the twists and turns. And you're mentioning performances. I've watched a lot of Burnley games in the past few weeks. They haven't actually performed really badly. They've been unlucky. Yes, they were trashed by Villa. That was actually a bad game, but the performances were not as bad compared to the performances I've actually seen from Leeds.
Did you watch Burnley today?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, they just basically stood behind the ball. I mean, for what, 21% possession? And when they looked
in the second half, though, it was all Burnley.
It worked for Lampard the other week, and it was an amazing performance, 22%.
But then they win. The difference is if you win at 22%, it's a good performance. If you lose at 22%, you've not turned up for the game, right? That's they didn't ever look like scoring, though. They don't look like scoring. That new player that they bought, Weghorst, is awful.
Vegas, yeah, he started really well, but then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. As you said, adapting to the north of England might be really terrible. But he started really well.
He got there and he's like, I'm not staying in this place. I'm going to stop scoring.
So it might. But Everton, you guys believe will stay up. Now the question if Everton does stay up, so Frank Lampard will have a clean slate, which means let's see what happens next season. I'll ask again. I've probably asked before. I'll start with you, Doug, seeing as you love the guy so much. Clean slate, if they stay up, do you give him a chance, more money in the transfer window, and to see if they can actually not fight for relegation next season? Or do you go, thank you for keeping us up, goodbye?
I think they probably will give him a chance. I don't think I would. Like they're going to stay up, but again, like look at the competition. Like that's... Okay, it is a massive achievement, but it is a massive achievement. Okay, you just had to get more points than Leeds and Burnley, who are poor. So I think they probably will give them a chance. I don't know. I can't see them like being anything other than like in that midfield pack next season. Like we said this season, like there's been that midfield pack from whatever 8th or 9th down to 16, 17. So I think they're probably.
I can't have you belittling Lampard that much, right? Or maybe Everton Football Club, because maybe that's the key thing. You got Burnley getting rid of Dyche, you got Leeds getting rid of Bielsa, and their replacements are both meh, like trash, really. Like I wouldn't have picked either of those. If I was looking through a list of unemployed managers or employed managers in Football Manager, I'd have been scrolling down, and I never, ever, ever would have picked either of those for the clubs, right? That's my concern. Is Everton had a plan. They got rid of Benitez, and they had a plan of who they wanted. And then
no, they didn't have a plan. They went for how many managers before Lampard said yes? Remember, Rooney said no.
No, it was out of Rooney and Lampard.
Managers said no.
And then these other people just put their name in the hat to make it look like they're still in the world of football, right? Like that doesn't mean to say that they're about or even in the running. I think Hodgson said he'd take another job next season, and Rangnick said he'd take another job next season. So, like, neither of them are getting jobs. But I think Everton had a better backup plan, and I think that's the problem with Leeds and Burnley. Their plan B was no better than plan A.
Apparently, Marsh has been a target for a long time for Leeds, so. Maybe we'll see something more impressive if he gets some time.
For the remake of Ted Lasso. The real life, because they know it will sell, right? That's literally got to be the only thing. And we know
Burnley just went for the big celebrity name.
Exactly, right?
That guy looks like his henchman.
That's not bad, right?
Yeah, look like
they've got a thriller at the end of the season.
Of course. We shall see. But we'll see what happens with those three teams. You guys believe Everton will stay up, so it's pretty much between Leeds and Burnley. But Burnley play Villa. Everton play Crystal Palace, which will not be easy, even if they're playing at home. And if all they need is 3 points, and anything can happen. But it will add to the twists and the turns.
Haven't Everton got Arsenal the last game of the season as well?
Yeah, but that's away, though.
So if it goes down to the last game of the season, that'll be
interesting. That'll be interesting.
And hopefully for you, Dunk, it does.
everything is looking like it will be all decided on the last day. The title, fourth spot, and relegation. So it's interesting this year in the Premier League, as always. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Let us look at the fixtures of games in the past, and let us start with the North London derby. That was an interesting game. Watched it with our good friend, whatever you want to call him, Karim.
And we accept that language in this.
Whatever you want to call him, and he was happy. It was a good game. It was a good game of football. Dunk, Tottenham deserved winners, no questions. Everybody's talking about the ref getting it wrong. Did the ref get it wrong? Did Tottenham deserve it?
No, I think Tottenham were deserved winners. Again, like I just think Tottenham are a better squad, better team than Arsenal at the minute. So yeah, deserve winners for that one. It's going to be interesting. Arsenal can still pull it off if they can get a couple of wins at the end. So again, like that's impressive for Arteta that they're in this position, and it'll be super impressive if he does actually get the fourth spot. But I think like for the looking at the competition in the Champions League next year, you'd have to say you'd rather see Spurs in the Champions League next year than Arsenal. Sorry lads that aren't here.
Why would you rather see Spurs in there than Arsenal?
Spurs would be way more competitive with their squad in the Champions League. So again, just I've got no dog in this fight. Like just from a neutral point of view, I think Spurs would achieve more in the Champions League than Arsenal would. Again, like Arsenal, they're probably a season or two early going into the Champions League. I wouldn't see them doing an awful lot if they did get through.
Okay. Neil, do you think that was a test to the maturity of Arteta as a manager and the Arsenal team? Because when everything looked like it wasn't going well, they looked like they were beginning to crumble, started blaming refs, going into wrestling games. Other than the results or a bad day, how did you see it in terms of the maturity of the Arsenal team?
Oh, they were poor. There was nothing good about that game for Arsenal. Arteta summed that up afterwards. I don't think he was being petulant or moany. He was trying to take everything away from that team as possible and give them somebody to hate, to galvanize them forward. There's no way that they can believe that the ref was that bad. And if they do, none of them deserve to put on a shirt and play football again. Simple as that. Was it a pen? Yes, no. Depending on Twitter, people that I asked, everyone said no. I think it was 83% for no and 70% for yes. But I don't know if they were Spurs or Arsenal fans. You shouldn't be doing it. Shouldn't be getting in those situations.
Did you just say 80% plus yes, and you don't know if they're Spurs or Arsenal fans? Sorry, 80% no.
No, 100% I couldn't look. So that was like, I don't want to say, they might have all been neutrals that follow me, right? So I don't want to alienate those that might be Leeds or Bournemouth fans, Dunk. You should follow me just to make sure. So, you can't put yourself in those situations. That's just poor. Regardless if it's a penalty or not, you've put yourself in that to people to say yes or no. That can't happen. Son was winding him up for the whole game. Son was showing his professionalism about that. Was there an elbow from Son on the floor? I mean, you look at it from one angle, then maybe, but not in normal time. He looks like he's just trying to get him off him. He should have been sent off 100%. There's no way that you shoulder barge somebody and not get booking for it, whether it was a straight red or not. I'm not going to argue with that side of things. You don't put yourself in those situations. Saka was poor, can't cross, can't pass. I thought Arsenal, again, maybe they just wanted to show how much lack of depth that they've got in that team, lack of quality that they're missing, and how lucky they've been to get in a position of where they were currently at in the league. They don't look top four. I think Duncan's right. If they get into the Champions League with that squad, they might get laughed out of the Champions League with that squad quite early on. That would be probably worse for them than anything else. Building that squad up would be great. If they can sign Jesus, that squad instantly gets 100% better. He is, for me, way better than anyone on the front three that they've got. Anyone. I don't care how good people think Saka is. He's not. The one thing I don't like at the moment about Arsenal is Smith Rowe not getting enough game time. Now, I'm worried for them that he will start to wonder whether he needs to move to get that game time, because he is by far one of the best products of the Arsenal academy that they've had in a long time. And he can pass, he can shoot, he can assist. He's got all of the attributes that I would want of a player. But they've now, obviously, they've got Odegaard taking him out, or they end up putting him out wide. So they need to accommodate him more. And I think he potentially could be a good linchpin for that club of what they need to look at. Because if I was playing up top, I want him behind me, because he is a great player.
Surely it's too early for him to start thinking, I'm going to move on. He just signed a new professional contract.
And Katie is like, I'm not getting any space. I'm going.
Eddie, they have tried to get Eddie to sign a contract. Eddie has been around longer than ESR. And if Eddie's situation, ESR is way different.
Yeah, and ESR is 10 times better.
One can actually play, was what I was about to say. But who is your guess? But, you know, I think it's too early for ESR to... I think it's too early for some of these young players that automatically just go, I'm not playing, I need to leave. I think it's way too early for some of these things.
I would agree if he was coming in and he was starting games and getting more time, but he's not even being trusted from that level, because he had that really good spell over the Christmas period, right, where he was unstoppable. But Martinelli doesn't really offer anything. Saka is a boyhood player that they love, that plays regardless of how well he's done.
Personally, I think ESR's best position is in the number 10 position.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, but Arsenal or Arteta wants the way Odegaard plays the number 10 role suits Arteta better, because he just wants the ball to flow. He doesn't want a player that wants to take on 3 or 4 players, and he just likes the ball to get the ball, find our pass, release your forwards.
So you don't stay, do you? So you leave?
Yeah.
But why bother staying? What are you going to wait for? Odegaard's young enough as well. Odegaard's is going to be around for another 6 seasons.
The point of leaving would be that you need to go somewhere else and get into the team. What team does ESR walk in as the number 10 right now?
Other than the top 4, everybody. 100% everybody.
Yeah, but then ESR...
most of the rest of the Prem below the top 4.
Yeah, but
I'd even put him in the Chelsea team. I'd put him in United team, West Ham, all of those teams that are challenging there or thereabouts, but actually getting game time, because he's not. He's just going to stagnate, and that's my worry for his career. And they signed Odegaard, which was fine, and he's a good player, plays really well, and he actually puts an effort in and a good shift, which is what I think that they like about him. But if they're going to continuously muck about with ESR, whether he plays left, right, up, top, or plays the number 10, that's just not going to work. I think he could do well at, in all seriousness, I think he'd do well at Chelsea. I think he'd probably do well in Liverpool. He probably wouldn't get in that centre of the park at the moment, but I tell you what, he'd get more game time under Klopp than he would under Arteta, which is a sad state of affairs.
The only thing you guys have just said he'll probably walk into any team other than the top 4, right? At the moment, he could potentially finish in the top 4. So I don't see why he wants to go. I think he still has time, and there's a lot. He got injured. There's a lot of there's a lot of game time for him at Arsenal. But time will tell. We've pretty much spoken about Tottenham, Burnley. What happened? Tottenham getting the win, even they didn't play that well. Who knows? That might be the luck of the 4th spot that they need.
Can I just wind Mike and Steve, because they're not here? Does it make Burnley better than Arsenal? Because they only lost 1-0 against Spurs, but as Arsenal got absolutely spanked their ass handed to them.
It does, yeah.
Does that make them worse?
It does.
I just
and because Leeds drew with Brighton, it makes them miles better than Man U, who lost 4-0 to Brighton.
This is what I love about football. It's crazy, isn't it?
I'll remind you guys that Burnley had 11 players. Arsenal had 10 on the pitch. So...
Okay,
I don't know if that really works.
How good was that atmosphere though at the Spurs stadium? That was amazing, man. It looked amazing. I wish I was there. I'm not even a Spurs fan. Don't even like Spurs, but I wish that I was part of that, because actually, I think Conte has done that really, really well since he's been there. As Pochettino, this great, loving manager that everybody cares about and galvanized the team and got the fans. Conte has done that within 6 months, made that team, galvanized it.
They didn't need any specific inspiration to be very loud against Arsenal. Look at the game against Burnley. They were not they were quiet. They were even under more pressure. The crowd was quiet.
Well, apparently
Burnley.
Chelsea players didn't try hard enough in the FA Cup final, so there's no telling what games they're going to try for.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Okay, so we've spoken about most of the games today: West Ham, Man City, Tottenham, Burnley. A lot of the other Leeds and Brighton. A lot of the other games like Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. Those guys are safe in the Premier League. They're looking good. Watford has already gone down. Leicester gave them a spanking. So we'll talk about the fixtures to come. Let's start with Monday Night Football. Does Newcastle give Tottenham the fourth spot? Dunk.
What is it? Is there some kind of award ceremony? Newcastle. Sorry. So Newcastle playing Arsenal, are they?
Yes,
it's just the way you phrase that. Does Arsenal get the fourth? Here you go. Yes, we agree. Here's the presentation. Do Newcastle give Spurs the fourth spot? Where's that game?
St. James.
Ooh, tough to call. Like Newcastle have been a little bit hot and cold. I would say Arsenal are going to win that one to keep it alive. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal for them.
Oh, nice. And Neil?
Is Joe Willock injured? Because you can imagine him costing them fourth, right? If he comes on and then goes, should have kept me, lads. Just start to play me, give me more game time. I think it's going to be a really, really hard game for Arsenal if Newcastle turn up. But Newcastle are wherever they are now in the league, mid-table, safe, comfy. Are they on the beach or are they up for that game? That's the only concern that Spurs should have on that particular one. Otherwise, I think it would be quite a tough game. So I'm going to go with a Newcastle win, 3-1.
I think they'll be saving themselves for that Burnley game, Neil.
Well, have to, mate. They'll win that as well. Don't worry.
All right. And of course, at St. Mary's on Tuesday, Southampton, Liverpool. I'll ask the same way. Does Southampton give Man City the league?
We could just do this as some kind of formal present. No, maybe a dinner. Like they could just
just take them out for a meal.
And the nominations for the league go to
no, Southampton get rolled in that one. Nowhere near good enough to compete with Liverpool, even if they rest a few players. So I will go for a Liverpool 3-0.
Okay, and Neil?
I'm startled at that particular sentiment. Everybody knows that Liverpool go to Southampton as a recruitment mission for signing new players. So they will be bang up for that game because they want to be in the shop window because that's where Liverpool buy all their players from. It's going to be a hard one for Liverpool. I think they'll win it. I think it'll be 2-0, but I think it'll be harder than it looks.
Okay.
It won't be a comfortable 2-0.
Now, Thursday, the 19th of May, this could be the day that Everton decides they're going to stay in the league by winning the game 3 points. Do they beat Crystal Palace at home, their last home game of the season? Neil?
Yes.
How many? You actually see them winning?
It's only going to be it's going to be a really dire, awful game of football. Like if there was a game of football that you wouldn't want to watch on TV, that will be it. Sorry, Evan. Sorry, Palace. It won't be interesting. It will be 1-0, but it will be backs to the wall. It will be job done. Everton stay up, and that will be Lampard. I might even get a picture of him and put him on the wall behind for next season just for Dyke.
Okay, and then Villa Burnley. Is this a repeat performance?
Hang on.
No, oh yeah, that's true. Sorry, I forgot. You were probably still at the award ceremony in Southampton.
I was just working out what table I'm going to put Crystal Palace on, near the front or at the back.
Everton, Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace are a tough team to beat, so I think that'll be a draw. Go for 1-1, but a draw I think will be enough for Everton to stay in the league.
Okay, so what staying with you, Dunk. So I mean, you don't think Burnley? Well, Everton stays. So Everton stays between Leeds and Burnley, right? So, So do you think Villa will beat Burnley again? I mean, you mentioned how their performances haven't been good. So do you think Burnley will just perform themselves out of the league?
I think Villa will win that one. Burnley will probably put up a bit more of a fight. I'll go for a Villa 2-1 on that one.
Okay. And Neil?
Oh yeah, Villa all day long. Villa
All
are
day
good.
long.
Coutinho signing for an undisclosed amount. Barcelona reveal 20 million euros. Aston Villa undisclosed. All right,
Good bit of business. That
communicate
what is that
between the two?
What is it? A 120 million loss by Barcelona, or 130?
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? To waste that much.
And then the last game of the season, Sunday the 22nd. Some games will just be, come and enjoy yourself, the fan having a good time. But Leeds goes to Brentford. Burnley play Newcastle. So those two games will be very, interesting, especially if it all falls down to that. I mean, since you guys believe Everton will do enough to stay up. Arsenal play Everton. So let's start with Arsenal-Everton. Let's assume Everton has already stayed up and Arsenal need the points to finish fourth. Arsenal-Everton, Neil?
Toothless Arsenal? No chance. Everton are going to win that. Even if Everton are safe. I can't see Arsenal getting top four. Not with the way that they're playing. They didn't deserve it either.
Oh. Ooh, that is this man.
Conte's Barmy Army.
So, Dunk.
Toothless Arsenal. Are you joking? Eddie's in that shop window and he's putting on a show for everyone. He's getting that contract somewhere else. Eddie's going to stick a couple in. Yeah, like when you're talking about the table, like that, those are two opposite ends. Like as much as we might say Arsenal inconsistent, they're too good for Everton. So again, like because there's stuff at stake potentially for Everton at the other end, I'll just go for an Arsenal 2-1 on that one.
Okay. Liverpool, Wolves at the same time, Man City, Villa. What do you see happening? Will Villa give Liverpool the league?
Yeah, Gerrard's going to give it to them. And Coutinho, they're going to be like, yeah. I think you've got, although Man City have been abject in the last game, I think they'll be up for the challenge. They've got only one game to get up for now. That's it. It's like it's a FA Cup final, European Cup final, whatever they want to call it. It is the only game they've got to play for now. They've got to be up for that. And if they don't get up for that and don't win it, they don't deserve it. You can't get up for that game and absolutely trounce Villa. You don't deserve it. They've got the players to trounce Villa. I don't mean any disrespect to Villa, but they don't deserve it. But I think Villa are going to be compact, 10 men behind that ball because he wants his old team to win that league.
Dunk?
Yeah, again, like I think Villa put up a good fight, but Man City are going to nick it. Mark my words, last 15 minutes. Let's go for... We'll go for a 3-2 on that one. I was going to go for a 2-1, but we'll go for a 3-2 to City.
Oh, nice. Dunk adding the dramatic effects. Last 15 minutes. I like it. What do you think, if it does go down to the very last day, if Liverpool are still in it, if they don't lose at Southampton or draw, Liverpool play Wolves? Dunk.
Yeah, Wolves have fell off a cliff. So I'm going to say like the Liverpool will be handily winning that one, which will put the pressure on Man City and make it nervy at the end. So again, Liverpool for that one, 3-1.
Neil?
Oh, I just feel sorry for Liverpool for the amount of games they've got to play. It's just upsetting for them, right? And being so successful. I think they'll win it. I think they'll win their last remaining fixtures. There's no doubt about Klopp getting them up for it. They will be. They'll put the pressure on, and that'll be an easy game for them. Too easy. 4?
Okay. 4-0. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will be watching these games and, of course, giving you our opinion and see how everything goes. Hopefully, the dramatic end to the season will be nice and we'll be able to talk to you about it. So, Player and flop of the week. Player and flop of the week. Neil, player and flop of the week.
Oh, this is a hard one because I don't think anyone has stood out to me at all, with regardless of how well they've played on any level in the Prem. So I'm gonna give it to. Waiting for dramatic effect there. When I am still here, I'm gonna give it to. And this is really, really important. I'm gonna give it to Leeds and Jesse Marsh because they got the 92nd minute goal and they're still in the league. If they hadn't scored that, that would have been game over for them. I think that gives them a chance. So he deserves it. He's done well to get them where they are and still win a chance at the end. So yeah, Jesse Marsh gets it for me. At Leeds.
Okay,
the manager.
And flop?
I don't know who he is. The flop of the week, I'm gonna give it to the whole of the Arsenal team, all of them, for not being up for it. You're not up for a North London derby and in there, like the softest sending off ever in a derby. Wasn't even a kneecap. Like it was just, yeah, poor. Arsenal didn't deserve it. Lackluster, aimless. Yeah, pointless.
All right, Doug, player and flop of the week.
Yeah, I totally agree with Neil. No one really stood out. I guess you could give it to Vardy for like banging a couple in. But I'm going to stick on the same theme. I'm going to stick with the Leeds. I'm going to give it to Gelhardt though. Like exciting young player. He's been getting some game time, and yeah, it was nice assist for the last goal. Managed to like flick it over the guy and get the cross in. So we'll give it to Gelhardt for player of the week. And flop of the week, I will give to Mahrez, because that could have been the title done and dusted, and it was a poor penalty.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a nice episode of Grassroots Chats. Please hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And of course, you can see our content and everything that we do on grassrootschats.com. It's been wonderful predictions. It's been award-giving teams for different reasons. And of course, I've had Neil and Doug in the building. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Till next time, it's goodbye from Neil.
Goodbye.
See you later from Doug.
Cheers for watching. See you on the next one.
Until next time, people, more thanks.